Shawnee, welcome back. So I received a request from PA Monroe 75 to focus on one palette, specifically the Flying Fiddles palette from Adept Cosmetics, doing a dedicated video to that palette. So I am more than happy to do this, and I really appreciate PA Monroe 75 for asking and requesting this video. I love things like that. So if you have a palette or colors or something in mind that you want me to give a try or tell you more about, please let me know. I'm more than willing, as long as I have the time, the space, and the energy. So the Adept Cosmetics Flying Fiddles palette, here it is, and I am going to do some swatches as well as some looks, tell you all about the palette, the information that I have, and then you can let me know what you think. You can let me know if you have the palette, if you have similar shades, if you want me to do certain looks. I don't know, you can let me know whatever you want to. Yeah, so I'm just gonna jump right in. As I said, I am going to do some swatches and some looks. I'll make sure you know what shades I'm using, and then at the end I will wrap it all up. Again, let's make sure to give a shout out to PA Monroe 75 for coming up with this idea. All right, so let's jump into the swatches and then the looks. So here is the Flying Fiddles palette from Adept Cosmetics. I love this outer packaging. This is so pretty. I was thinking if somebody could make this, something like this, into like a top, and then I could pair it with like some high-waisted black pants with some black heels, maybe even like a little blazer on top. What? And I wanted this, like, it needs to be see-through like this, like this. I think this is gorgeous. This is probably my favorite packaging in all of my palettes. I wonder if it'll tear, you know, like pantyhose. Anyway, and then here on the front, you've got the name of the palette, Flying Fiddles. I think it's kind of hard to read. I don't know what other shade they could have used for that. I mean, the gold, I think, is a bit of a stark contrast to the packaging itself, but who am I? I don't own the brand. And this palette, I believe, is a permanent one. They describe this as a neutral palette, and it is named after the Siberian iris with a muted grungy twist, which I thought was interesting. I'm guessing that the colorful shades are more like the iris, and then the mattes kind of anchor the palette with the sort of like muted grunge thing going on. So this palette has 4 mattes, 1 multi-chrome, 4 shimmer duochromes, and 6 shimmers. They do say that this shade here, Scorpion Grass, it's a marbled shade, and so because of that, it might show up differently across palettes. So if you got the palette and I got the palette, this shade here will probably show up differently for both of us, just because of it's marbled, how they pour it, all of that jazz. Now, they do say that the shimmer eyeshadows and pigments may appear to be glitters, but they're actually, this palette is 100% glitter free. They say that it is vegan, BHT free, and does not contain mineral oil. They do suggest that you apply the shades with a finger, but not everyone wants to. So do you, however you do your eyeshadow. If you want to use a brush, finger, use a finger, toothpick, whatever it is that you prefer. Now, it does contain pressed pigments, and those are the shades that might stain your skin a little bit. I find that quite a few, especially indie brands, do have pressed pigments. They're fine for me. I don't have any sort of reaction to them, but just in case you're aware that your skin doesn't do very well with pressed pigments, that's something to note, and I will be sure to point them out for you. And basically for pressed pigments, in the US, they're said to be like not safe for use around the immediate eye area, but everywhere else they're like, whatevs, you're fine, go for it. And there is sunflower oil here in the palette, so that's also something to note just in case you have some sort of reaction to that. Now the palette is magnetic and it is made with 15% upcycled materials. The pans are removable and magnetic again, and the pans are made with 80% upcycled material. So let me show you. A little magnet here. There we go. So there is the palette. That was user error, y'all. That wasn't anything but. And what I do like about Adept is that their shades have like the name on the back. So if you want to rearrange things, you can. If you want to mix and match with other Adept palettes, you can. And then if you're like me and you like to have things like in order, then you can always put them back the way you want to, because you've got the name on there and it will correspond with the shade name in the palette. I think that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and do the swatches, and I will be sure to point out to you which shades are pressed pigments so that you are aware, and maybe that'll help your decision as to whether or not you will get this palette. So here we go. There are no shade descriptions listed on the website, so I won't have that to give you, but we'll do the swatches. I'll let you know what the shade kind of looks like to me, though I'm not good at that, but we'll just give it the old college try. So this first shade here is Dahlia. This is definitely one of the duo or multi-chromes. More than one chrome. That's really pretty. It seems like a pink, green, or maybe like more of a teal shift. Let me know what you see in this first shade, Dahlia. The second shade here is Tan Toffee Rose, and this is actually the first pressed pigment in the palette. Definitely looks like a tan toffee rose. It's sort of like a muted mauve, I would say. The next shade is Meadow Foam. Following that is our Arisema. And the last in this row is Daylily, and that is our second pressed pigment. Now starting in the next row, the first shade here is Daffodil. So I'm expecting this to be like a nice yellow. I feel like it's a yellow with a bit of gold. It almost has like a sheen to it. The next shade here is Viola Bronze. That's really pretty. It's like a rosy peach, kind of rose gold-ish. This is why they don't hire me to write descriptions. And this is that marbled shade Scorpion Grass. So let's see how this turns up on me. It looks like, I don't know, let's see. To me, it looks like it's showing up on me almost like a seafoam green in some lighting, but then like blue with some flecks. I don't even know. And next is Pom Pom Button. And And the last shade in this row is Yellow Bronwyn. Now we have the last row. This first shade, Sahara, is our next pressed pigment. So I believe this is the third one in the palette. Following that is Honey Spurge and Blue Crown. These are the last two pressed pigments in the palette. So Tan Tea Rose, Day Lily, Sahara, Honey Spurge, and Blue Crown. Next, we have Rust Bunny, and we'll round it all out with Green Kelly. I'm actually surprised that that one is not a pressed pigment. Green Kelly. I guess they couldn't say Kelly Green. All right, those are all of the shades from the palette. This is going to be interesting. I think it's really pretty. I think it's very, very pretty. Let me know what you think. Is it giving you neutral, muted, grungy vibes? I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to wash this off. I'll let you know how that goes, and then I'll jump in and we will do the whole video thing. Okay? Everything washed off pretty well. I used an oil-based like makeup remover thingamajiggy, and yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and get on with doing some looks. did 5 total. Whew, I have managed to use every shade in the palette at least once, so that is cool. I really like all the shades. Yeah, I like all of the shades. I could definitely see myself using this as a standalone palette, as well as using it in combination with other palettes. Definitely even other Adept palettes, especially since I think their mattes are getting better and better and better. So I really like this palette. I like the depth. I feel like all of the shades show up on me, which is always fun. Yeah, and even if, like, there are only 4 mattes in here, but I think you can easily pull in mattes from other palettes that you have, as well as just taking some of the other Adept palette mattes and switching things out and even changing up the color story to make it something that you prefer or like better. So let me know if you've been doing any looks with this palette, if you've picked it up. I don't know which one I liked better. I think I liked all the looks. I feel like they got better and better and better throughout the time. Yeah, let me know if you want me to do more looks with this palette. Also, please feel free to let me know if there's a palette you want me to like do swatches and stuff with. I'm so open to that. So I really, really appreciate PA Monroe 75. I don't know if it's Pa Monroe or PA Monroe, but thank you, dear. I really appreciate you giving me this idea and asking me to do a dedicated video to the Flying Fiddles eyeshadow palette. So I really, really appreciate that. Shout out to PA Monroe 75. Well, I hope that some of this was helpful, and I also hope that you are continuing to take care of yourself. I'm trying to do the same, okay? I'm getting it together. I'm setting more boundaries. At least I'm attempting to do so. Anyways, I would love it if you liked the video, and I would love it even more if you subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.